Imagine waking up in the morning, ready to take on the day, but the first thing you feel is pain. Your knees ache, your fingers are stiff, or your ankles feel swollen like balloons. You tell yourself it's just aging, but the truth is, much of this pain isn't just age, it's inflammation. And here's the shocking part. After 65, your body becomes far more sensitive to certain foods that fuel this fire. Every bite of the wrong thing can secretly keep your joints swollen, your energy low, and your heart at risk. In fact, studies show that chronic inflammation is one of the biggest drivers of arthritis, memory decline, diabetes, and even heart attacks. So the foods you put on your plate each day can either be gasoline on the fire or water that cools it down. Today, we'll uncover the biggest culprits that trigger inflammation after 65, and more importantly, what to eat instead, so your body can finally calm down, heal, and move with ease again. You see, inflammation itself isn't always bad. In fact, it's the body's natural way of healing. When you cut your finger, it gets red and puffy because white blood cells rush in to repair the damage. That's acute inflammation. It's temporary and it saves your life. But what most seniors don't realize is that as we get older, our immune system becomes less efficient at shutting off that process. It keeps running, like a light switch stuck in the on position. That's what doctors call chronic inflammation. And it's not just in one place like a swollen knee. It's everywhere in your body at once. Your blood vessels get inflamed, your brain cells, your digestive tract, your skin. This is why so many people over 65 feel that combination of stiffness, fatigue, and brain fog. The hidden trigger, often the food sitting in our kitchens. And here's where it gets even more concerning. The same foods that you may have eaten without issue in your 40s or 50s suddenly start taking a much bigger toll after 65. Why? Because your body loses about 30% of its ability to process sugar, fat, and toxins efficiently. Your liver slows down, your kidneys filter less, and your muscles don't burn energy the same way. So those inflammatory foods stay in your system longer, and they hit harder. The result is a body that feels inflamed nearly every day. But here's the good news. Changing what you eat can start reversing this in as little as 2 weeks. And by the end of this video, you'll not only know which foods to avoid, but also the exact anti-inflammatory replacements that can soothe your joints, protect your heart, and even sharpen your memory. We'll count down from the less obvious culprits to the most surprising one of all. And number 1 is a food most people would never suspect. Coming in at number 5, processed deli meats like ham, bacon, and sausage. I know they're convenient. And for many of us, they've been a breakfast staple for decades. But these meats are loaded with preservatives called nitrates, along with high levels of saturated fat. A study published in the journal Arthritis Research and Therapy found that people who ate processed meats regularly had significantly higher levels of C-reactive protein, a key marker of inflammation in the blood. After 65, your arteries are more fragile, and these meats act like sandpaper, scraping the lining of your blood vessels while sparking inflammatory reactions. What to eat instead? Try wild-caught salmon, sardines, or even tuna packed in olive oil. These are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are proven to lower inflammation markers in just weeks. If you still crave something savory in the morning, try a slice of smoked salmon on whole-grain toast with avocado. It feels indulgent, but it's a powerful anti-inflammatory breakfast. At number 4, refined sugars hiding in pastries, cookies, and soda. Sugar is one of the most powerful inflammation triggers on the planet. Here's why. When you eat sugar, your body releases a flood of insulin to process it. Too much sugar leads to something called glycation, where sugar molecules actually stick to your proteins and damage your tissues. Doctors call these AGEs, or advanced glycation end products, and they've been directly linked to joint stiffness, cataracts, and even memory decline. In fact, a 2022 Harvard study found that seniors who consume the most added sugars had nearly double the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. After 65, your pancreas produces less insulin, which makes sugar even more destructive. So what can you do? Instead of white sugar, try natural sweeteners like raw honey or stevia. And swap out those morning donuts for a bowl of oatmeal topped with fresh berries and cinnamon. Berries contain anthocyanins, which are natural anti-inflammatory compounds, and cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar. It's a small change that can dramatically reduce inflammation in just a few weeks. Next, at number 3, refined carbohydrates, like white bread, pasta, and crackers. Many seniors don't realize that these white foods act almost exactly like sugar once they hit your bloodstream. They spike your blood sugar, trigger insulin, and feed inflammation just as much as candy does. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that diets high in refined carbs increased levels of interleukin-6, a chemical messenger that drives chronic inflammation in the joints and arteries. The fix here is simple. Switch from refined carbs to whole grains. Brown rice, quinoa, barley, and oats are packed with fiber, which slows down digestion and keeps your blood sugar steady. Fiber also feeds the healthy bacteria in your gut, and since 70% of your immune system lives in your gut, this directly lowers inflammation. Imagine trading a plate of white spaghetti for a warm quinoa salad with olive oil, vegetables, and herbs. It tastes delicious, fills you up, and calms the inflammation that white carbs keep fueling. Coming in at number 2, fried foods, especially those cooked in vegetable oils like corn, soybean, or canola oil. These oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, and when you eat too many omega-6 without enough omega-3s, your body tips into a pro-inflammatory state. Think about crispy fried chicken, French fries, onion rings. They may taste comforting, but inside your body, they're sparking microscopic fires in your arteries and joints. A 2021 study from the University of Texas found that older adults who ate fried foods at least once a week had a 32% higher risk of cardiovascular inflammation and arterial plaque buildup. But here's the fix. Cook with anti-inflammatory oils, like extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Roast your potatoes instead of frying them, and sprinkle them with rosemary and garlic. Both herbs have natural compounds that reduce inflammation and even protect brain cells. You can still enjoy that satisfying crunch, but in a way that supports your health instead of destroying it. And finally, number 1, the most surprising inflammation trigger of all: dairy, especially milk and cheese. Now, dairy isn't a problem for everyone, but after 65, many seniors become more sensitive to lactose and casein, the 2 main proteins in dairy. Your digestive enzymes decrease with age, making it harder to break these proteins down. As a result, they slip through your gut lining and trigger an immune reaction, which shows up as joint pain, bloating, sinus congestion, or even skin flare-ups. A large study in the Journal of Nutrition found that reducing dairy lowered markers of systemic inflammation in older adults by up to 20% in just 4 weeks. So what's the alternative? Try almond milk, oat milk, or coconut yogurt. These plant-based swaps give you the creamy texture without the inflammatory proteins. And for calcium, load up on leafy greens like kale, spinach, or bok choy, all of which strengthen your bones and fight inflammation at the same time. One of my favorite anti-inflammatory snacks is a smoothie made with almond milk, spinach, banana, and a handful of walnuts. It's creamy, satisfying, and a powerful weapon against inflammation. So let's recap. The 5 foods driving inflammation after 65 are processed meats, refined sugars, white carbs, fried foods, and dairy. And the swaps: salmon instead of bacon, berries instead of sugar, quinoa instead of white bread, olive oil instead of fried food, and almond milk instead of dairy, are not only delicious, but they actively heal your body. Remember, your body is always trying to repair itself, but it can't do that if you keep feeding the fire. Give it the right tools, and you'll notice the difference in just weeks. Less stiffness in your knees, more energy in the mornings, and a clearer, sharper mind. The power really is in your hands. Which of these foods do you think is the hardest to give up? And which swap will you try first? Share your answer in the comments. I'd love to know your story. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next tip that could completely change the way you feel in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Because your next decade can absolutely feel better than your last. If you know how to fight inflammation from the inside out,